You ask about the 5 strivings mentioned by Gurdjieff and how to understand them and apply them. Let us remember first of all that Gurdjieff spoke intentionally in a strange way that had to be unpacked, oftentimes making it much more complicated through the richness of his language and metaphors. So let's look at these. The first striving to have in their ordinary being existence everything satisfying and really necessary for their planetary body. The second striving to have a constant and unlagging instinctive need for self-perfection in the sense of being. The third, the conscious striving to know ever more and more concerning the laws of world creation and world maintenance. These first 3 can be translated into the obvious with the first one, that we must be able to provide the basic needs to exist, to have the will and a sense of responsibility to do the very basic things that everybody must do to survive on the planet. Gurdjieff has pointed out that someone who cannot manage to keep a job or to find some way to function in the world in order to provide for themselves clothing, food, necessities, is going to have great difficulty having the willpower and commitment to do this inner work. The second, the constant need for self-perfection, I'm guessing needs no explanation to those of you who are listening and watching this. It is that yearning of the heart that moves us forward on this spiritual journey that we know so profoundly is more important than life itself even. Not only finding the meaning of existence, but growing into, evolving into our highest potential while we are here. The third tells us a conscious striving, and conscious striving are words that are very significant, of course. It's not just a desire or a mechanical effort, it is that unified place within ourselves that has transcended our fragmentation and our multiplicity and committed itself at a higher level, unifying enough of our nature to commit ourselves for a lifetime to these deeper truths. Knowing more and more about what he calls laws of world creation, world maintenance, can be translated into the deeper fabric of reality. And an entirely different language could be used here. That would be more spiritual, more religious. It is approaching the heart of God, if you will. However that translates into your capacity to see more deeply into that which is beyond the visible. Now the fourth, the striving from the beginning of their existence to pay for their arising and their individuality as quickly as possible, in order afterwards to be free to lighten as much as possible the sorrow of our common Father. pay for their arising and their individuality as quickly as possible. This means to awaken out of our self-indulgence and ego and mechanicalness and manage some level of authentic being in the world, of purification, of coming closer to the true self rather than being lost in the illusions of false personality. To pay for our existence here on earth means to find our deeper nature in order to be useful to the universe, and as he says, in such touching ways, such moving ways, to lighten as much as possible the sorrow of our common Father, to help the divine by being people whose inner work generates the mercy and compassion necessary to be a blessing in the world. For it is this kind of human being enlightened by the love of God that lessens the sorrow of our Creator for the state of humanity and for the suffering of humanity. The fifth, striving always to assist the most rapid perfecting of other beings, both those similar to oneself and those of other forms, up to the degree of the sacred marfortai, that is, up to the degree of self, that is, up to the degree of self-individuality. All of this means that once we have reached a certain level of awakening, of work on oneself, of understanding, that we are then to help others on this path to find their way to their true selves, to rise up out of sleep and ignorance, negativity and identification, hypnotism, to be awakened and conscious, and therefore a light in this world. Our friend asks, I'm trying to correctly understand and to apply the knowledge of conscious sacrifice, conscious love, but I'm having difficult time setting healthy boundaries. You must be careful in the wording here, because those words, conscious sacrifice, conscious love, are not the words that Gurdjieff uses. He speaks of intentional suffering and conscious labor, terms that must not be misunderstood. The efforts that we make, self-transcendent, must be conscious in the sense that we really know what we are doing and why we are doing it. And the efforts that we make in order to help others. So this is a bit different than sacrifice. It involves conscious love, certainly, but keep in mind that it is only after the fourth striving, when we have reached some degree of self-mastery, of understanding, of quality of being, that we are then able to be helpful to others. I've used it before, this example of the parent in the airplane who must put the oxygen mask on themselves before they put it on their child in order to help the child. So your own development understanding, self-awareness, healing, awakening is crucial before you can intentionally go out to help others who are seeking wholeness, who are seeking God, who are seeking the deeper life. And that, by definition, means that boundaries already exist. That is, you are not to go out and do that until you are at a place where the issue of boundaries is no longer an issue. If you seek to do that too soon, then you can fall victim to all that comes with the boundary issues, and all of us have done that. But these terms of consciousness, of paying for one's arising, of reaching a point of maturity in Christ, shall we say, places us in a position that we can make the right choices. So don't be in a hurry to rush out and help others, because you must help yourself first to be capable of doing that. And to help oneself in that way means to have overcome the issue of boundaries. And I speak to you as one who has had those issues when I was a pastor, with the constant need coming to me, desperation. And I can tell you certainly that it can be extraordinarily destructive. And so I urge you to not be in a hurry to go to that fifth striving until you have really centered yourself in that fourth striving.